This is the end of an era. Eli Manning is gone officially. And I sat here pretty much all day thinking about how I felt about this because I have such a very on and off again relationship with the thought of Eli as a great quarterback. And I gotta say this. This dude has numbers. He's gonna get in the Hall of Fame, man. Like, it doesn't matter he doesn't have MVPs. It doesn't matter that you wouldn't consider him as an All-Pro player. I don't think he's ever been an All-Pro. He might have been like maybe a second team All-Pro, but I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look it up. But I do gotta say this: Eli has the numbers to get in. His record isn't as bad as you would think. It's not something that people are going to hold against him. They're going to look at those two big things that he has on his resume. Pretty much the only things he have on his resume, which is he beat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots 2 times in the Super Bowl. That's all he needs. That's what's going to get him in there.
It is the $1 million question. Is Eli a Hall of Famer?
Skip, this is really tough.
And I got to say this. I don't think he is, man. I just don't believe that he has the resume. Like, when you listen to Shannon talk about the Hall of Fame, he says it like it's some exclusive club that not everybody could just get in. Is you have to be such a, what do you call it? You have to be such a impactful player in the history of the NFL. Like you have to make such a big mark that you are to be remembered for the next 50 years or some shit like that. Like, not everybody can get in the NFL Hall of Fame, and I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to get in there. I think players that have been on a bubble for the last 50 years have gotten in there eventually, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to get in there. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't think so. I don't. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't even be. Like, how long it took T.O. to get in there, that's how long it should take Eli to get in there. But, people love Eli better than they love T.O., so I guess he's going to get in there a lot quicker.
Because when I comment about a player should or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, it's not Shannon Sharpe saying a player should or shouldn't be. It's Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe saying. And it's almost like I'm saying he doesn't deserve to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But when you look at it, Skip, he's going.
He doesn't. And that's the argument. Does he deserve it? Did he earn the right to be in the Hall of Fame? I don't think he did. But they're going to put him in there.
To get in. He is. He's one of 5 quarterbacks that's won multiple Super Bowls and a 2-time MVP. Brady.
Let's be more specific. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion and a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, which they pretty much give it to whoever the fuck they want to. Because I've said this for years, James White should have got the MVP award after that great game he had against the Atlanta Falcons. He should have won the Super Bowl MVP award.
Montana, Bart Starr, Terry Bradshaw. He's one of 5. That's it. And it's not, Skip, if he beats anybody else, who did he beat?
Yep.
He took down Goliath twice.
And according to people, that's all you need. You don't need to build up an impressive resume. You don't need to win MVP awards. You don't need to win Offensive Player of the Year awards. You don't need to do any of that. You don't need to be an All-Pro. All you need to do is beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl once or twice, and you'll get in there. Because that's more impressive than anything else he's done in his career.
Even if you say the first time the helmet catch was the luckiest, that throw to Mario Manningham might have been the greatest throw in Super Bowl history. Cover 5, to drop that ball in like he dropped it in, Skip, that was a great throw. See, I think the thing is we get so caught up. He ain't Peyton. He's not Brady. He's not Breeze. Look, there are 320, 325 in the Hall of Fame. Skip there, look, guys get in the Hall of Fame, but everybody ain't Jim Brown. Everybody's not going to be Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. So when you look at his career, yes, 117 and 117, that's not good. Led the league in interceptions 3 times. But and the way it's going now, he getting in, Skip. And would I be surprised if it's on the first ballot? Absolutely not. Because they say the first ballot is for the best of the best. We're talking about you can't even tell the story of the NFL without these guys. Would I be surprised if they put him on the first ballot? No, I would not. But
you wouldn't?
I would. No, Skip. Think about it.
Real shit, man. People damn, I'm fucking up already. People hold in high regard what Eli was able to get accomplished with the New York Giants, with them beating New England in the Super Bowl twice. People hold that in extremely high regard because whenever you talk about Eli and his accomplishments, that's the first thing and the last thing you talk about.
Because here's the thing, which should give people pause. It's not, well, Eli's retired. The first thing, what was the next thing out of the mouth of Eli's retiring? Is he a Hall of Famer? We've never had to ask that question about any other quarterback in the history of the game, Skip. Not one time.
Interesting.
But this is what this is how really on the fence a lot of people are.
And I really do believe that's the way it should be judged. If you ask yourself, is this player a Hall of Famer? If you have any sort of hesitation whatsoever, he should not be in the Hall of Fame. Because the Hall of Fame is supposed to be the pinnacle. This is what you play your entire career for. This is what you start off in high school for. This is what you play through college for. This is what you play in the NFL for if you really want it. And it should be something, when you say a player's name, you should just already say, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer right there. Whether he's a first, second, third, fourth, fifth ballot player, doesn't matter. You should ask yourself, is he a Hall of Famer? And when you ask yourself, is Eli in the Hall of Fame, you hesitate at first because you have to think about it. And then I come to the conclusion myself personally that he's not, man. Like, I just don't think he's done enough. I don't think he was as impactful. His only impactful seasons in the NFL was when he beat New England in those 2 Super Bowls, when he had those playoff runs. Because other than that, he didn't do anything. He's done nothing.
You look at him and say, I believe it should be an era. In your era, when you played, look at his peers. Where do you put him? You can't.
He's not even in the top. If we're talking Eli for the past 16 years, where would we put him amongst all the quarterbacks? I'm going to think about this a little bit, man, and I'm going to come up with my top 10 while he talks, and I'm going to listen while he talks, but I'm going to come up with my top 10, man.
And the guys that played, Elway in the 80s and 90s and these other guys, look at when he played. He played against Brady. He played against Breeze. He played against, Big Ben. There are a lot of guys, Phillip Rivers will have that same conversation, minus the Super Bowl, about Phillip Rivers. But, Skip, I wish there was another way I could frame it. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to have a gold jacket.
Will you feel good about that?
I'll be honest, Skip. I don't feel anyway. I don't feel anyway. Because, I'm sure there are people probably think I don't deserve to be in there, but I'm in there. So, Skip, look, it's hard. It really, Skip, it really is. People don't understand. It's kind of like, you do journalism. You win a Pulitzer Prize, or you win the highest writing honor, and they say, what do you think about this, Skip? You think this guy should win the Pulitzer? And Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Skip Bayless says no. Now he's like, well, Skip's a hater.
Sure.
So you can't win, but Skip, looking at the way it's trending and the guys that are getting in that we didn't think were going to get in, Eli Manning's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the first ballot.
I do appreciate your position on this because it is a precarious position that you are in. And not that people need to be reminded, but you did.
Because I think Shannon coming out and saying a potential Hall of Fame inductee that I don't think that if he was to come out and say I don't think that he should make it because I don't think that he's done enough to get in there are going to be a lot of people that are displeased with Shannon Sharpe over those comments. So he can't really say what he thinks about it. He just has to say, look, he's going to make it. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. He's going to be there. Because he just can't come out and say, I don't think that he's done enough. Because when you watch Shannon talk about this situation, like if you just watch the last couple of minutes of him talking about it, Shannon has just a look of, it's like a slight look of confusion. with a look of doubt. Like, he just doesn't think that dude should be in there. Like, and you can see on his face, like, he really wants to be as PC as he could about it. He doesn't want to say how he really feels about it. Because Shannon has said multiple times that the Hall of Fame is such a prestigious honor that just not anybody can get in there. You would have to, like he said, you would have to, when you write the book of the NFL and the NFL history, that you have to put certain chapters in about certain players. There's no way you can write it without it. So that means he holds getting into the Hall of Fame in such a high regard. I don't think that he believes that Eli has earned the honor, the right to wear a fucking jacket, to be honest.
Have to go through 3 ballots to get in. So you know full well what it feels like not to get the call.
Yes.
It's hard on you.
Yeah, it is.
After all you accomplished, you don't get a call, and you don't get a call. Yeah. Gotta wait a whole nother year. It's like, man, and it's torture, man.
I remember telling a couple of the guys that voted, I said, well, hell, if you didn't like 3 Super Bowls and 10,000 yards and 800 catches this year, you're not going to like it next year because guys are coming in with 1,000, with 1,200, with 1,300, and got 100 touchdown catches. So how do you like 62 this year, but you're going to like it more next year?
Okay, I'm not in the Hall of Fame, so I don't have to worry about what you're worrying about right now. What have I told you from the start? My rule of thumb.
You got to ask.
If you have to ask, you're not in. If you have to second guess it for 1 second, is he a Hall of Famer? It's like Tom Brady. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. He's the greatest quarterback who ever played. Boom, he's in.
Right.
And I can do it with several other players. Okay, it's just in. Let's think of somebody else, receivers, great Julio Jones,
And although I put a huge emphasis on Super Bowl victories and NBA championships, I don't think that that's all you would need to be considered a great player, an all-time great. I think impact, team success, your impact on said team success, just the amount of great seasons you're able to put together. You don't have to win MVPs, but being, to be honest, I don't put much stock in the Pro Bowls because those are voted by the fans or players. It should be based on your numbers and not really based on fan votes or whatever. So I don't really put too much stock in the Pro Bowls, but I mean, you should be, I don't know, man. I just think the level of production should be there. Team success should be there. Eli has had way more years where his team has not even reached 500 versus the years that he has made the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say this is the resume of a successful player. And to be honest, if I'm really being honest, he hasn't been the same since Tom Coughlin left that team. We all got to be honest with ourselves. Eli has struggled since Tom Coughlin has left New York.
He's just transcendent. Right. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And there's no, well, I don't know, did he? Okay. So back in my early days on ESPN, I sort of invented in my mind the Hall of Very Good. And I will give you the Hall of Very Good for Eli Manning because he was very good.
Right.
He just wasn't transcendent. He didn't sort of reinvent how the position was played.
Right.
So for me, he's not in my vision of your Hall of Fame.
Right.
And there are some guys who have gotten in that I wouldn't have put in the Hall of Fame. But I'm staunch about it because I want it to be the cream of the cream.
You don't see general manager says, I need to find the next Eli Manning.
No.
Like when he said that he was trying not to laugh, that is very funny. And that's very true. When you talk, Eli was a number 1 overall pick. We forget that this dude was a number 1 overall pick. Like, we forget this.
So, to your point, he finished 117 and 117 as a starter.
Right.
That's not great.
Nope.
He led the league in interceptions 3 times, as you point out. So, he started 16 seasons for a cornerstone franchise up in New York, the New York Football Giants, and he made 4 Pro Bowls in 16 seasons. That's not transcendent, right?
Right.
And he did, to your point, he won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. But the truth was, the Giants' defense,
Thank you. And I've said this repeatedly. If anything won those Super Bowls, it was great catches by these wide receivers, and it was those defenses. putting him in a position to not have to do much. Because the Giants offense didn't do much, but they did enough. And there was a thing going around. If you go back to look at Eli, I can't tell because his eyes is always kind of squinty. But when you go back to look at that throw that he threw to David Tyree when he was about to get sacked by Vince Wilfork and he threw it up in the air, I believe he closed his eyes when he threw that pass. I could be wrong, but I believe he closed his eyes when he threw that ball in the air. Just saying. Which makes it way more impressive that he was able to do it. But just saying.
Offensive line deserved to be the MVP of the first Eli Brady Super Bowl. And in the second one, just for the record, Brady's QBR in that game was 84 to Eli's 73. But Eli made one great throw. And that might have been the throw of his career.
Right. Oh,
right down the chimney to Manningham.
It's hard to find another throw skipping Super Bowl history that was better than that one.
Okay. But if Tom Brady...
There are plenty of throws in Super Bowl history that was better than that one. I think the degree of difficulty is what makes people think that play was a lot better than it actually was. There are a lot of players. I mean, there are a lot of plays in Super Bowl history that you go back and you say, oh my God. But because that play was so unexpected and the way it happened with David Tyree catching it on his helmet, it's not even like it was an outstanding throw. Now, Matt Ryan's throw to Julio Jones, where Julio was able to toe tap and catch that ball over the defender, like, that throw was amazing. That throw was better than that one. But that throw was incredibly lucky, which just makes us post it up higher than it actually is. And that wasn't really an Eli highlight. Now, the throw itself wasn't an Eli highlight, but him evading the rushers, him evading Vince Wilfork, being able to break free and get loose, and I mean, that had to be some of the greatest elusiveness I've seen from a quarterback under pressure in a pocket in a big moment like that. That had to be some of the best. Some of the most unbelievable acts of fucking heroism I've ever seen. Because when I watched that play, I'm like, they sacked this guy. And then he broke free, and he was able to get free and deliver the ball. I was like, I can't believe what the fuck I just saw right there. And it wasn't even a throw. It was him getting free. Now, that play right there, that was a great play. And like I said before, the Giants winning that first Super Bowl was kind of bittersweet for me, because it's not that I didn't think that the Giants, I was hoping that, like, deep down I was like, it'll be crazy if they win this game. And I have a tendency of siding with the what do you call it, the underdogs. Like, I love an underdog story, and I hated the fact that they beat New England to do it, but I kind of was like, wow. Like, this is a moment in history that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life for two reasons. And I think Eli being involved in that was pretty special.
Doesn't barely miss another throw when they had the lead with 4 minutes left. If we could, there's the throw to Manningham. Now if we can see, this is Brady's throw to Wes Welker. And it's not a terrible throw. It's not like Dak overthrowing Tavon at Philadelphia where he missed him by 10 yards.
But people that's watching this, Skip, don't understand. Do you see that safety driving? No. If he throws it inside,
it's a problem. Okay?
A big problem for that receiver.
And I've said this many times. I believe Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe is going to catch that football. Yeah. Wes Welker's 5'9", 5'10" maybe, and he doesn't run many up the field routes. They're all underneath, and this was up the seam. And I don't think he's really used to adjusting in the air for a throw that was a bit outside, because he needed to be a bit outside.
Looking at it, Skip, and I thought at the time, he got caught in between. Do I turn and catch it like that? Or do I turn and just catch it over my shoulder?
Well, trust me on this. If you go back and check out the play-by-play of this game, if he catches that ball and it's a first down, I'm pretty sure they're going to win the game.
The game's over.
Okay? So then Eli doesn't have a second MVP and Super Bowl ring. So then I look at Liberty, 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 liberty. At Eli's body of work, and it's just, if you look at, he's 8-4 in the playoffs, but that was with 2 Super Bowl runs, and if you look at the last 8 seasons, he was the starter.
Eli is 8-4 in the playoffs. And I believe the 2 Super Bowls he won, he went from the wild card to the Super Bowl, which you need 4 wins. So you mean to tell me, like, how is he a Hall of Famer? You mean to tell me the only playoff wins he has is during 2 playoff runs? That's it? No more? And he has 4 losses in the playoffs? So he's made the playoffs 6 times in 16 years, and 4 of those years, he was out in the first game. Yeah, that's super impressive.
For the Giants, they made the playoffs 1 time in the last 8 seasons. Think about that. 1 time in the last 8 seasons, and you're saying he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame. What? Well, if I put Smith on the back of this uniform, there's no way.
But Skip, you know how the voters, how they think, and a lot of them think kind of like you think now. Most important position, most valuable position, and Super Bowls are everything to the quarterback. They're everything, and he got them. And who did he get them again? Skip, if he beats, I don't know. I don't know who the Patriots beat the year. But if he beats David Garrard in a Super Bowl, he beats a lesser tier guy.
Yep.
And then you look at the run that he went on to get there. He beat Aaron Rodgers once on the road. He did do that.
No, he did.
So
I'll give you that.
And people gonna look at like, okay, on his Super Bowl runs, who did he navigate through to get there? So and the way it's going now, like I said, it's just tough. It's just tough.
Okay. Now, back to my all-time pet peeve play. And it was, I have termed it the luckiest play in the history of the Super Bowl. And it just was. And Eli agreed with us in 2016 at the Super Bowl after the season that it was lucky. So look at this. He escapes 3 times. Today's rules, he would have been ruled
in the
down.
grass. They like to say in the grass.
And then he just basically closes his eyes and throws it as far as...
See, he closed his eyes and he threw the ball. I believe he closed his eyes. And he threw that ball up there.
Can up the middle of the field into trouble. And somehow David Tyree, who they said had terrible...
Rodney Harrison, the way Rodney Harrison played that, I think is what caused that play to happen. Because I think if Rodney Harrison would have been a little more proactive in stopping the pass, I think that play wouldn't need, like, none of this shit would even be a conversation. And then what made it worse, what exacerbated the problem, was Bill Belichick. Now, in the red zone, when you have a 6'5" Plaxico Burress out there, and then you put a 5'8", 5'9" Ellis Hobbs on him, yeah, great things are gonna happen for you if you do that. So they did that, and it was pretty much a fucking jump ball. Like, you didn't even need to try hard. I think it was a lot of... I don't know, man. I just think it was a lot of issues, man. I don't understand. I don't understand how you put a 5'9" Ellis Hobbs on a 6'5" Plaxico Burress and think that was going to work out in the red zone.
Practices that week. Somehow he goes up and snatches it against his face mask in front of a really good safety named Rodney Harrison, who's now on NBC. But look at that. He escapes 3 potential sacks in the grasps. And somehow Tyree comes down with it.
Which was more impressive than his throw. Him evading that pressure, him evading those sacks was far more impressive than the throw itself.
And remember, that's a 3rd and 5 play from the Giants' 45-yard line. If you miss that, we're getting toward game over, right? Okay, so that did it. And then to Eli's credit, a few plays later, he did hit Plaxico.
They came on blitz. They came on a zero blitz.
He made a nice read.
I don't think it had anything to do with the zero blitz. I think it was putting a 5'9" Ellis Hobbs on a 6'5" Plaxico Burress.
And he found him on the fade, and he just threw it. It's beautiful. That's sweet, and I'm going to give you that because that's a game-winning touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And let's not talk about the fact that it was a massive mismatch, and you didn't need much to complete that pass. You didn't need much. All right.
Got to go for it. He knows the zero blitz. He's thinking they're going to run a slant. They run sluggo on him, Skip, and then
that was it.
All she wrote.
Okay, so brings me back to a guy we're going to have on the show from the Super Bowl, I think early in the week, and his name is Deion Sanders, and I'm his biggest fan, and you love him too.
I love it. That's my dog.
Deion Sanders reinvented the way cornerback was played. He changed the game. he took over games in ways that made him a transcendent figure. And there have been a lot of good cornerbacks, but he was the best. So if I could read a quote from him from yesterday about whether Eli belongs in your Hall of Fame, Deion said, honestly, I'm not so sure what being a Hall of Famer means anymore. Football immortality used to be reserved for players who redefined their position, made a big impact on the game, or dominated their position for a period of time. The way the Hall is trending now, Eli will get in most likely because he won 2 Super Bowls. It won't be because he embodied any of those 3 points while in the league. It is what it is, man.
And this coming from a guy that loved Eli. When Eli went on that first playoff run, he loved Eli. And during Eli's second playoff run, he just expressed that love for Eli. But for him to come out here and say this, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, the Hall of Fame is almost getting as bad as All-Star voting and fucking Pro Bowl voting. Like it's just, it doesn't mean the same thing that it meant a long time ago. So I think thinking about it the same way isn't going to really do anybody any good. So, you know, it is what it is, man. Eli's going to get in there. We just got to deal with the fact that Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback. But I'm done, man. All right, I got to leave it on that end.